Welcome to Kids Recall. In today's video, we'll be going through the 2017 animation family movie, Coco. It's time to recall. Let's get started. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The movie starts with a boy named Miguel telling us the story of his family. He tells us that his great-great-grandmother Imelda was married to a man who left her and their daughter Coco to pursue a career in music. And when he never returned, Imelda banished music from her family's life before starting a shoemaking business. She trained Coco as well, and from then on, it turned into a family business. From generation to generation, everyone started taking this business on. Miguel then says that he is really happy with his great-grandmother Coco. She's really old now, but he still likes to spend time with her. His family is in the shoemaking business, but he has no interest in it. Miguel is really inspired by De La Cruz, and Ernesto De La Cruz used to be a big musician of his time. One day during a concert, he died in an accident. Miguel thinks that if De La Cruz can become a good musician, he can also achieve it. Miguel wants to be a musician one day. He is polishing the boots of a musician when the man tells Miguel that he can also become a musician if he's dedicated to it. Miguel, however, tells him that his family would never allow him to take that lane. The musician then tells him that that's his problem. If he wants to become big, he has to go through thick and thin, and that he will have to prove himself too. That's when Miguel's grandmother gets there and starts beating up the musician until he gets out of there. She then asks Miguel not to do anything like that again. When Miguel gets home, everyone is angry at him because he polished the shoes of a guitarist. Miguel's grandmother then tells him that this is the Day of the Dead, and on this day, they remember all of the people who are not with them anymore. Miguel does not really care for it. His mood is off after getting to know of a boring event. He goes to his secret room where he practices his guitar. He considers Ernesto his idol, so he has put pictures of him everywhere in the room. He practices his songs. Miguel has decided that he's going to perform at a public plaza, but then his family members come to see him and tell him that they have good news for him. Miguel gets excited, but the good news turns out to be that he's going to be included in the family business from now on. Miguel accidentally damages the picture frame that holds a photo of Coco with her mother on the family ofrenda. Discovering that a hidden section of the photograph shows his great-great-grandfather holding Ernesto's famous guitar. Concluding that Ernesto is his great-great-grandfather and inspired, Miguel leaves to enter a talent show for the Day of the Dead despite his family's objections. He goes to the public plaza to perform, but he does not have his guitar because his grandmother broke it, and when he said that he wants to perform as a musician at the public plaza. That is when he reads a statement and goes to Ernesto's mausoleum, and there he sees his old guitar. Miguel thinks of taking the guitar, but then a lot of people suddenly appear out there and the guitar falls to the ground. Miguel gets scared and runs out of there. He notices that no one has been able to touch him. Miguel gets scared and falls down. When someone gives him a hand, he sees that it is no human but a skeleton. He sees his family skeletons everywhere. He figures out that he is among the dead. They then tell Miguel that Imelda has still not been able to reach here and she cannot cross the bridge. They then take Miguel to the spiritual world where all of the people live after they die. Taking him back with them, they learn that Imelda cannot visit since Miguel accidentally removed her photo from the ofrenda. Then Miguel sees Imelda, who tells him to go back and make everything right. She asks him to remember her when he is in the world of the living and tells him not to become a musician. Imelda then blesses him and he goes back to the world of the living. The first thing he does after getting back is steal the guitar of the dead musician, and as he does it, he again finds himself in the world of the dead. Imelda sees him and scolds him a lot, and Miguel tells her that he does not need her blessing and that he wants to become a musician. Miguel discovers that he is cursed for stealing from the dead and must return to the land of the living before sunrise, or he will become one of the dead. To do so, he must receive a blessing from a member of his family. Imelda offers Miguel a blessing on the condition he ends his dream of becoming a musician. But Miguel refuses and resolves to seek Ernesto's blessing instead. He meets Hector, who declares that he knows Ernesto. offering to help him reach him in return for Miguel taking his photo back with him, so that he might visit his daughter before she forgets him, causing him to disappear completely. Hector helps Miguel enter a talent competition, and he is told that if he performs here and comes out victorious in the competition, he will win entry to Ernesto's mansion. But Miguel tells Hector that he does not have a guitar. Hector then takes him to a place where he can get a guitar for Miguel. When they go to a skeleton, the skeleton tells Hector to sing a song for him if he wants a guitar. That skeleton then disappears from the spiritual world. Hector then tells Miguel that if they are not remembered on the Day of the Dead, they disappear forever from even the world of the dead. Now Miguel has a guitar and he has to perform well so that he can win and then get a blessing from Ernesto to go home before sunrise. Miguel's a little nervous, but Hector tries to keep his spirits up by telling him that he knows Miguel can pull it off. When the competition starts, Miguel comes up with a great performance. Every skeleton in the hall cheers for Miguel, and in the meantime, Imelda gets there with all the other family members to look for Miguel. As soon as Miguel realizes that his family is there, he tries to run away, but Hector confronts him for lying to him, as Miguel told him earlier that he had no family, and that's why Hector had been so good to him. Miguel then runs away and Imelda chases him. She asks him why he has been doing this, and Miguel says that his family should support him because it makes him happy. Then Miguel tries to get into Ernesto's house, but he's unable to do so. He then spots the band that has won the competition and is going to the mansion of Ernesto. He gets mixed with the people of the band and manages to sneak into the mansion. There he sees that all the big names who are dead in the world of the living are attending the event. Miguel tries his best to see his great-great-grandfather, but it goes in vain. Then he thinks that if he wants to meet Ernesto, he's going to have to prove to him that he too is a musician. He then starts singing, but as he does, he falls into a pool. Ernesto swims across the pool and gets him out. Miguel right away introduces himself, and Ernesto really gets happy at seeing a family member who's a musician, and he starts to introduce Miguel to everyone there. Miguel then asks him to give him a blessing so that he can go back to the world of the living and become a great musician just like him. Hector confronts them, again imploring Miguel to take his photo to the land of the living. Ernesto and Hector renew an argument about their partnership in life, and Miguel realizes that when Hector decided to leave the duo to return to his family, Ernesto poisoned him, then stole his guitar along with his songs, passing them off as his own to become famous. He also keeps the last picture of Hector with him so that no one can remember him and no one would be able to get his picture to the ofrenda. To protect his legacy, Ernesto seizes the photo and has his security guards throw Miguel and Hector into a cenote pit. There, Miguel realizes that Hector is his real great-great-grandfather and that Coco is Hector's daughter. Hector tells him that he just wanted to see his daughter, which is why he wants to cross the bridge. Hector tells him that his daughter's name is Coco, and this is when Miguel realizes that Hector is his family. Hector tells him that he wrote all his songs for Coco, but his diary was then stolen by Ernesto. Miguel is now relieved that he's not a descendant of a murderer and a credit hogger. That is when Dante arrives, and he brings the spiritual god with him. Imelda also comes with him, and they rescue Hector and Miguel. Imelda is really happy to see Miguel. Miguel tells her the whole story about Hector, saying that he actually wanted to come back to them. Imelda is still angry at Hector for leaving her and her daughter, but they reconcile eventually. Then we see that Hector is about to die because Coco is the only living human who remembers him in the world of the living, and now she's getting really old and her memory has started to fade away. Seeing that Miguel asks Imelda to help them, he says that he wants to take that picture from Ernesto so that he can keep it in the ofrenda, and Hector will then be saved. Then all of them go to Ernesto's mansion. Now the plan is that they have to take the picture from him and give their blessing to Miguel so that he can go back to the world of the living and make everything right. Imelda then goes to see Ernesto and takes him to the cleaners, telling him that he's the reason she lost her husband. Looking at Imelda fighting for him, Hector is really happy that his wife still loves him. As Imelda is about to run away from the picture, she reaches the stage. She stands in front of the mic and Hector asks Imelda to start singing. Imelda starts to sing a song, and Ernesto, along with his security guards, reach there to catch them. Ernesto approaches Imelda and tries to snatch away the picture from him. But Imelda gets out of there and brings the picture to Miguel. She gives him her blessing and the picture and asks him to go back home. Ernesto again approaches them and catches Miguel. He starts to beat him up, saying who will remember him if Miguel reveals the truth about him. Miguel's family is recording everything and everyone is seeing it live. All of the audience is seeing everything as Ernesto throws Miguel off a high building, but the spiritual God catches Miguel and saves him. Everyone now knows the real face of Ernesto. They all start calling him a liar and a murderer. The spiritual God then approaches Ernesto, and then everything gets emotional because Hector is about to die yet again, because Coco is getting older and her memory is fading with each passing moment. If Coco completely forgets Hector, he will then leave even the world of the dead forever. Miguel quickly takes their blessing and right away gets back to the world of the living. He promises Hector that he will never let Coco forget Hector. Miguel reaches his house and right away goes to see Coco. Miguel's grandmother tries to stop him, but he is persistent. He says to her that he has got to get to Coco. He finally approaches Coco, who is now even too old to move. He gets close to her and says, "Papa." He keeps repeating the word, but no response comes from Coco. Her eyesight is now too weak, so she cannot even recognize anyone by seeing the picture that Miguel tries to show her. Miguel then starts to think, and he comes up with an idea. He remembers her favorite song and starts singing, "Remember Me." Coco brightens and sings along with Miguel. She reveals that she had saved a torn-off piece of the family photo with Hector's face on it, then tells her family stories about her father, thus saving his memory as well as his existence in the land of the dead. Coco brings out a book she has saved of her father, saying that all of her father's songs are in the book. After Coco's memory is refreshed, Miguel's family reconciles with him, and they end the band on music. 1 year later, Miguel shows the family ofrenda, which now includes Hector and a recently deceased Coco, to his new baby sister, Socorro. Coco's collected letters from Hector prove that Ernesto stole his songs. Everyone is now aware that Ernesto was a fraud, and proofs put forward by Hector's family end up destroying Ernesto's ill-gotten legacy and allowing Hector to be rightfully honored in his place. In the land of the dead, Hector and Imelda rekindle their romance, joining Coco and the rest of their family for a visit to the living, where Miguel, in a mariachi costume, sings and plays for his relatives, both living and dead. And this is where the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click that bell icon to get more movie recaps.